The Republic, written by Plato, was his thesis on the perfect society, how to create a perfect society. If everything could be done in a rational way, this is what Plato thinks should be done. And of course, polis meaning uh, the the populace, the city, the state. And so in it, the way Plato talks about the perfect republic is that it's going to reflect inner workings of the individual. So he looks at how we are constructed with a mind, a spirit, and a body. The mind is where rational thinking takes place that controls the entire body. The spirit, or more the heart area, is where emotion is centered. And more importantly than just emotion, it's where the will is located, where we get the drive and the motivation to do anything. And the body then is represented by the lower extremities, our appetitive drives and our sexual drives, and that these are not stimulated as a response of rational thinking so much in a natural sense as they just sort of well up and begin to happen to us. We become hungry. We don't decide to become hungry. It just happens to us. And so, according to Plato, of course, the mind then steps in and says to the spirit or the will, we need to repress our desire for food right now or for sex right now, or we need to go ahead and allow it to express itself now. And so that's how things stay in balance in Plato's theory. And he says that the city is the soul writ large. I mean, you expand this balance of mind, body, and spirit out, superimpose it upon a society, and what you get is the republic that Plato talks about. Now, in the republic, you've got three classes of people: the ruling class, the military class, and the working class. The ruling class is made up of an aristocracy of philosopher kings, as Plato refers to them, meaning they're kings who seek wisdom, and that's their strength. And those in our society that seem to be the best at that sort of thing, we elevate to the status of a philosopher king. Something sort of like our Supreme Court, right? Their jobs are secure, so they can't be swayed or seduced in any way, and they're known for being wise. Well, and in Plato's Republic, these people live apart from everyone else. Their basic needs are always taken care of, but they're not given to foolish distractions or extreme luxuries. They live an austere life devoted to the pursuit of wisdom and controlling the polis or the state. Well, then there's the military police, the military class. And these are the guys who, while the philosopher kings are like the mind of the body or of the self, the military police are like the heart, the spirit, the drive of the person. And the military police and the military class are individuals who have shown exceptional abilities, physically and mentally, and they are raised up out of the masses to be a part of this class of people. Now, they of course take their orders from philosopher kings like any properly ordered person would do, where the mind tells the spirit what to do. So they are very good at this sort of thing. When you say go, they go. When you say stop, they stop. And they are complete controllers, as it were, of what? The lower extremities, the lower drives, the appetitive drives. And who is that? Well, that, my friend, is you and I, the working class, the artisans, the masses of people. And it's not a disgrace to be a part of the working class in the Republic. It's what you are. And of course, we all want to get the very best of us to be our police, to protect us. And so we like the system, according to Plato, in the Republic. And when someone is elevated to that class, that's a wonderful thing. And it's out of that uh, upper middle class, the military class, that over time someone then is plucked out and elevated into the philosopher king class. Now, in the uh, military class, it should be noted that you do not pick your husbands or wives. You don't really even have husbands and wives so much as it is that you are living together in a kind of communal situation, according to Plato. And the philosopher kings are essentially engaged in eugenics in that they are controlling who mates with who in order to produce the very strongest physical specimens. And so the children are raised communally, and it's all controlled by the philosopher kings, who are the super smartest of all of us, right? This is all well and good. Some might ask, though, well, what if somebody wants to be up into the next class up, like a working class person into the military class? How do you get people from rising up out of frustration? And Plato would say, well, this is the point at which we have to engage in a little bit of deceit. In other words, we have to tell a noble lie. We have to say, look, everybody, you are what you are because of the way nature has set it up. In other words, it's determined. It's like saying, God made you this way. And so Plato's basically saying the gods have made you this way, and when the gods decide to change your status, they will. And Plato, of course, says this, of course, is a lie, but it's a noble lie, and it's told by the philosopher kings. Plato says, here's what normally happens in the evolution of a political system. Let's say you start with an aristocracy where the people in control are the ones who have shown over time that they have the most knowledge and are the best to be making decisions. So that's an aristocracy, right? It's not necessarily a bloodline. It's a mind line, as it were. They're the best ones to draw, whose knowledge we draw upon in order to survive and thrive as a group. Okay, that's an aristocracy, and that's what you've got in the philosopher kings. Now, Plato says, as soon as the philosopher kings begin to give in to the values of the lower classes, or the lower extremities, as it were, their first temptation is to want to be honored, to want to be recognized as better than those in the lower classes. And so they say this is this life of aristocracy where we're isolated away from the everyday cares of the world, and our needs are all taken care of. But it's, if they begin to think, what I really am missing is being appreciated and recognized as being better. Plato says, there you go. You slip into a Timocracy. You slip out of aristocracy into Timocracy as soon as you want people to start bow down to you. As soon as your character is weakened to the point that you need somebody to praise you, for you to be able to feel good in life, then you've now dipped into a Timocracy, and the people recognize it, and they say, "Oh, this guy, he's got to wear fancy robes, walk around, and have people bow down to him. He thinks he's ultimately better than us when we know he's just a regular guy. There's a chink in the armor, the Achilles heel," and the people then now begin to doubt in the ability of their aristocracy, and that's what you have on your hands when you have slipped into a Timocracy. Well, what comes next? Well, then the people now are doubting the integrity of their leaders, so they then have to be bought off. And for the leaders to maintain power and control, they have to start giving out presents and enticing people, and before you know it, the tail is wagging the dog. And so a plutocracy is where fallen aristocrat who has become just nothing but a monarch that has to wield power somehow. And of course, what does that mean but money? That's a plutocracy. And Plato says, and once that happens, then it slowly becomes a democracy. And why? Well, because now people, through their desires, are making the decisions, and they make it by voting in a democracy where everybody has an equal say. And what Plato says is, well, what you will always then logically, mathematically wind up with every vote is the lowest common denominator. So you're not reaching up toward that which is wiser and better.